Good evening. I'd like to call our meeting to order pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975. This meeting has been duly advertised in the South Jersey Times and the Sentinel. The municipal clerk of the township has been duly notified the requirements of notice have been met. Would please rise. We're going to be led this evening our pledge of allegiance by James Brooks.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Tricia, please call roll.
Bellis? Here. Caselli? Here. Franklin? Borwanski? Here. Cunningham? Here. Doyle? Here. Margosa? Here. Michael? Here. Trace? Gray?
Here.
We have four.
All right. First item on our agenda is the Caroline Ritter School Activity Report. We have Brooke and James with us this evening. So if you guys would like to go ahead and give your report. Thank you for coming.
Good evening. My name is Brooke Swade. I'm Brooke Swade, the Ritter School Student Council Secretary. I'm joined this evening with James Fair, Ritter School Student Council Vice President. We are two of the four executive members of Student Council at Caroline Ritter School. This evening we are going to tell you what we've been doing in school, so let's get started. A couple days before the school year started, we had an open house. The open house is when the student council members came to the school in the morning and helped give tours of the school with the new fifth graders and sixth graders that are new to the district. We toured the students by directing them to their classes and each wing of the school. On the first week of school, our principal, Mr. Peters, gave a nice warm welcome to all the students. We also had an assembly where Mr. Peters reviewed the behavior and academic expectations for all students, along with school security procedures. Let's talk about rare readiness. Rare readiness means a certain amount of individual learning and lessons on iReady. For October, we have to pass 8 lessons for each subject. Now for November, we have to pass 5 lessons for each subject. If you get your lessons done, you will get to participate in a front reward at the end of the school period in February. Next up was the Halloween social. The parents and students in the school brought in sheets for the social. Some of the student council members would help set up the grade level social in the cafeteria. On the same day of this Halloween social, some of the student council members helped Mr. Peters hand out pretzels if they bought them. We helped him by spreading the pretzels apart, wrapping the pretzels, keeping the order of the pretzel, and handing them out around the school. It was fun, organizing and helping out with the fundraiser. The students enjoyed hanging out with their friends and dressing up for the Halloween social. Next up is our February week. The week of October 21st and November 1st, Mr. Chow, our school counselor, went around the school and talked about Red Ribbon Week during each class enrichment period. He talked about what to do if you struggle, eat healthy, and talk to anyone if you need help. He asked us to write our names on a red strip of paper, and his counselor helpers helped give them out on a local living chain. At the beginning of October and November, there was an event called First Friday. When it is First Friday of the month, there are multiple activities in different rooms throughout the school where the teachers and support staff present various learning opportunities. You could learn about cooking, games, crafts, and how to handle different life situations for students our age. Fellow students have positive comments and how to unique experience has allowed them to gain a deeper appreciation for our school and encourage them with non-traditional learning methods. In mid-October, we learned about safety techniques given for children our age. Firefighters from Franklin BoE and Malaga fire companies presented fire science lessons to all students where we learned about how how a fire can occur, which types of fire extinguishers and how to extinguish a fire. We also had an assembly called belts, loading buses, where all students learned about transportation safety techniques. Throughout the year, our school has focused on teaching all students about character development. Each week we have a character development lesson, which is focused on the character trait of a We also had an imagine period a couple times a week where students discuss character traits and ethical issues. We were also fortunate to have an outside representative, Reggie Dash, visit our school to further promote positive character for all of our students. When discussing academics with our fellow peers, we realized that we are all learning six-grade concepts, but in a variety of different ways. For instance, we read different novels in shorter reading assignments in our English, social studies, and science classes. We appreciate how teachers have designed lessons to meet our specific learning needs. Also, our sixth grade has embarked on a year-long focus of the impact of the tiny house community, Operation Safe Haven, in Franklin Township. Currently, we are learning about how to mathematically design these tiny houses and look forward to future learning opportunities as the year progresses. Thank you for letting us to present the positive aspects of our school, and we hope that you have a good evening.
Thank you guys for coming this evening. Enjoy your Thanksgiving break and Christmas break and spring break after that. Excellent job. Yeah. All right, the next item on our agenda is our strategic plan update from Mrs. Scallon for curriculum and instruction.
Hi there, how is everyone tonight? I'm well, thank you. My name is Lauren Lascal. I'm a fifth grade teacher at Ritter School, Language Arts. However, I'm also on the Strategic Action Committee. I've been on the committee for about 3 years. I'm here just to give you a little bit of information about what we've been doing over the course of the past couple of years, some of the updates that we have for you guys. So our primary goal, just to remind you, is that we are at this point researching and evaluating the different changing mobility rates of our students. We're looking at how that mobility impacts our curriculum as well as our instructional needs of our Franklin students. We take the time to meet, I would say once every other month or so, to really develop a plan based on all of that review and that research for addressing those results. One of our secondary goals that we've been looking at is to analyze the need to include community-based programs to identify the potential effectiveness of onboarding, so forth and so on, to support the mobile population. So Mr. Slavin, who is not here with us tonight, created this wonderful presentation for you guys to take a look at. Anywhere that you guys see a check mark, these are things that we have already accomplished. Anything that has these circles here, these are things that we are working on or that we are currently in progress. So as of right now, with our transfer in and out procedures with our survey, we are looking at our exit survey. Any students who are leaving the district, we've created an exit survey that parents would fill out in order to take a look at possibly their reasons for leaving, where the students may be going to, whether they're moving out of state, whether they're transferring their child over to a different school or a charter school. So that is currently in effect, and we're reviewing that for this particular school year. As you move down, and I apologize, it's a little hard to see, there are some future suggestions that we have right in here, just about developing the need to meet and greet with our 6th grade and 7th grade students. Having those opportunities for 6th graders to ask questions to our 7th grade students and to give an I wish I knew what to focus on for when they go from Ritter over into Delsey Middle. So in looking at our transfer in and out mobility rates, there are two graphs here. The first graph is how many students have actually remained in the district since kindergarten. And you have to look at this kind of on a diagonal. So when you take a look, we took this information all the way back from year 16, 17. We started with 176 kids in kindergarten. And as you can see, we have, of those 176 kids, 117 of them are still with us. So they are still currently in our Franklin school system. So as you go along the route, you're going to see that as of right now, 23, 24, our current sixth graders, we started with 170 back in 17, 18, and you're going to see that we've retained 126 of those students, which is fantastic. But as you go down, if you look at these, this is like your percentages. So again, out of those 176, 117 stayed with us, meaning that we have 61% of our students who have stayed with us. As you move along to this one, this information on the top is exactly the same as what you just saw, but what you're going to see is down here, even though our numbers of kids that we retained have decreased, you'll see that our numbers that we have enrolled for this year is 192. So out of the 176 that started with us, we have 117, but currently within that grade level, there are 192 students. This means that we have a lot of students not just leaving our district, but we have a lot of students coming into our district. That being said, looking at this information, we can garner a really good idea of what students have been with us and how the instructional needs that we have provided, how we've been able to help those students and what they're able to do later on, maybe on state tests. As we go on, we're taking a look at our curriculum and our instruction to say, okay, out of the 192, those students who have come into Ritter or into the district, how is it that our curriculum can help them? So there's not really much else to this. This is what I can get this to work. Great. So I think the last slide was just we're still continuing to work. We're still very data driven. We're very focused. I think that's okay. It's only just one slide. So that's it. Data driven and people focused. Thank you. That's it. So thank you, Mrs. Dolan. But we are, as a committee, we are very data driven. We're taking all of this great information and we're using it to our advantage in order to help our teachers with their curriculum, as well as to help the people in the community and their children. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
All right.
Thank you. Hang on 1 second, Laura, we're going to get a question.
She's probably gonna say.
I apologize.
Yeah, please.
Sorry.
One minute, we have a board member question for you.
I just wanted to know if you could send us that presentation so we can see what it said up there.
Yeah.
Would it be
I'm
possible?
gonna have Zach lighten that slide with the blue and we'll send it to you so you can see it.
Thank you.
Any other board members? No.
So what things have we found in terms of our curriculum matching with those students that are coming in?
Well, those are the things that we're still looking at. We just started tracking last year and this year, like as the kids come in, what tier do they go into? What types of supports do they need? We're still working with Linkit to be able to correlate the time in district with their data and pulling that without having to pull it individually. So all of those things are still in process.
So how do we have like a career that we give before each child put into a classroom?
So we were trying to do that. We started doing that a couple years ago, and then it was holding up them starting. And by law, they have to start within 24 to 48 hours. So we do, on their day one, they get those assessments. So sometimes we might move their classrooms depending on what those assessments are. But it was ideal to do it before they came in because then they didn't have to move once they were in. But that 24 hours was holding that part up.
Okay.
You're welcome.
So on an incoming student, unlike, the data that you're going to try and get with the action strategy, normally someone's incoming, you have that information, like where they're coming from.
Yeah, so we even put together our little survey that Chelsea, when she registers kids, do, so that way we're even looking to see where are they coming from when they come in, and when they leave, where are they going?
Right.
And are they leaving the state? But academically, not a lot comes with them from their previous school, and sometimes it takes a while to get their records from the previous school. So we do all of the testing that we do with all of our kids here on their first day. They get that same testing so we can see if they need supports and what type of classroom they should go into.
Are they predominantly like coming from in New Jersey, or is it like what's the trend?
It depends on the year, to be honest with you. So that's something that we're taking a look at the DLC too. So monthly at the DLC, we look at the number of kids that transferred in and out by month, where they came from, and where they're going.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thanks, Lauren. The next item is our self-assessment for anti-bullying bill of rights. Mr. Peters is going to give that presentation. Briefly, this evening, some things has family participation will be here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brandt. Conducting these school self-assessments for each school, its school safety team is required to evaluate its implementation of the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act for last school year. So that would be July 1 of 22 through June 30th of 23 by using a state self-assessment form. This self-assessment tool includes 8 core elements that addresses the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act that is required for all of our schools. The school safety team must assign a rating for each of these indicators based on the criteria and available documentation. This past year, so looking at last school year, there were a couple revisions, some changes that did occur with the self-assessment tool, which really reflected some updates to the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act, which occurred in 2022. A couple that I would like to note and highlight here would be core element number 6. Basically this one, we are required to have preliminary HIB. When I say HIB, that's harassment, intimidation, and bullying. So when there's an incident of potential HIB, we can have a pre-screener tool. So the utilization of those pre-screener tools, whether it be a pre-screener tool that an educator or somebody employed by the school district utilizes, or one that a parent could also utilize, or a student. Basically, are we utilizing them? Are we using these state authorized forms? Core element number 7, really something that all 3 of the principals have always done, but we are required anytime that there is an alleged incident of HIB, we're required to record the date, the time, and how it was notified to us. Well, we've always done that. So more or less some compliance aspects. And as we look through the self-assessment, many of these indicators are simply compliance elements. There are some where we can look for better practices, but most are just the checks and balances to see if we are complying with the law. Each school has within this a section that has been added to support the new requirements where applicable for Mr. Walton to annually review with all of you, and also the number of times a preliminary determination was made that an incident really did not meet the initial scope of the bullying definition. So the rankings. So each of our school safety teams looked at a 4-point scale in order to see if we were not meeting, partially meeting the requirements, or exceeding the requirements. And these were within 8 core elements. So think of these as the different categories that we looked at within this self-assessment. Core element number 1 was HIB programs, approaches that we take, any other initiatives that we take, and this could also be with bullying prevention as well. Core element number 2 is training on our board-adopted HIB policy and also the procedures behind it, and that's also the procedures set forth with the state law. Core element number 3 is other staff instruction and training programs. Core element number 4, the infusion of HIB and related information into curriculum and instruction. Core element number 5 is HIB personnel. Basically, do we have anti-bullying coordinators? Do we have anti-bullying specialists for each of our schools? The answer would be yes for both of those. And also school safety teams, which we have as well. Core element number 6, school level HIB incident reporting. So basically, do we follow the state's guidelines and your policy as far as what we do when we intake a potential HIB incident? Do we follow the guidelines set forth with how long it takes to do an investigation, the procedures set forth with an investigation, and so forth? Core element number 7, further up more about the HIB investigation procedures. And in core element number 8 is the reporting. So the monthly reporting, if we have any HIB incidents here at the Board of Ed meetings, as well as the reporting that I'm providing to you right now. So a new element, as I mentioned, were preliminary determinations. So if somebody comes to an individual and says, okay, I feel like my child, or I feel like I'm getting bullied if I were a student, we would do a preliminary screening. So as far as the preliminary screenings, 25 times this occurred over at Ritter last year, 12 at Main Road, and 2 at Janvier. And these were how many times we did a screening, and it didn't quite meet the definition for bullying. These are very obvious incidents where it was not meeting the definition, or it was very clear two-directional. With HIB, you have to more or less see a one-directional element or an overpowering of one individual versus another. These incidents, we didn't see that. It was quite clear, quite evident that that wasn't going to be the case. There still could be discipline. It still could be handled with counseling and so forth, just it would not go through the path of HIB. So that's how many times we did a preliminary screening and didn't go forward with the actual investigation. And then finally, for our scores for the pre-assessment. So out of a total of 78 possible points, all of our schools either met or exceeded all the indicators and all the different elements, all 8 elements that I just got done explaining. So we did well. Overall, we were compliant with everything. As I mentioned, met or exceeded in all of them. Out of 78 possible points, Janvier School had 72, Main Road had 76, and Ritter had 77. Some areas of strength that we'd like to note is our implementation of HIB programs, the following of the investigation procedures, the reporting of HIB incidents, and some areas that we could see some further action on would be addressing and really assessing the programs and policies that we have and documenting such within all of our schools, as well as the training of volunteers and contracted service providers.
Any board member questions?
Who would be contracted?
NutriServe staff.
I understand.
Yeah.
So this pre-screening tool you have now, that's something new this year?
It's newer. It was started last year,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken.
So the purpose of that is to cut down on unnecessary investigation?
Exactly.
It just gives us the ability to kick the tire, check under the hood, and make sure that it should get down that path. And if you look under I3 in our discipline table, that does include the pre-screens that mark.
So previous to this, basically you had to fully investigate every
Exactly.
claim.
Yes.
It's a good one.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other questions? No?
Has there been a study between the different districts to see how other districts are handling it, or is this just something that's in our so far?
So the ability to have that pre-screener was something that all districts in the state were able to have. That had to be adopted by each local board of education, so it's not something that per se every district has the ability to do. We were very fortunate that you adopted that. It definitely cut down on some of investigations that didn't definitely need to proceed forward. We were able to more efficiently handle them with discipline, with counseling, and in other matters. I know the state is currently reviewing the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act again. So I'm curious to see over the course of the next year or so what new revisions might come out.
Thank you.
It seems like this topic is always evolving.
Well, thanks for the report.
All right, thank you.
That concludes our presentation this evening. With that, we move on to our first public comment section for agenda item 10. I make a motion to enter the public second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Anyone from the public with comment at this time regarding items listed on the agenda?
My name is Anthony Marchetti, here from Annie Lucy's Special Dog Rescue. I'm not sure if it's on the agenda. It might be part of the closed session. I wanted to address the issue of the Lake Road School.
Sure. I mean, yeah, we're going to discuss that in our executive session, but if you have a comment, you can make it now.
Thank you. Mr. President, I did submit with our initial offer a letter summarizing what our intent was. This is a property that we think we can take and turn into a center that doesn't exist in New Jersey, a place for dog rescue, for the dog rescue to be run, veterinary for the town and the county, and a place where the community can be involved with the dog rescue. I think it's the perfect use for this beloved school. From our standpoint, we move about 600 dogs per year. We take the dogs that the county shelters can't help. We take breeder release dogs, we take the old, the broken, the sick, we fix them. This will allow us to use our own veterinarians in our own facility to do it in a way that's inexpensive, or less expensive than it currently is, and make it so that way dogs aren't put down every day for being ill, broken in the shelters that are not equipped to handle. We can do that.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close first public portion. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
As I mentioned, we do have an executive session this evening to discuss personnel, legal matters, as well as contract negotiation. Contract litigation. Hopefully 30 minutes or 30 minutes or less, definitely will be done momentarily. So with that, make a motion to move to executive session. Second. All in favor? Come out of executive session, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. School board president report, don't have anything specific to report. Mrs. Caselli, do you have anything from the FDA? Specific now? Any liaison reports?
I went to Ritter for the Halloween social. Like always, Ritter is awesome. Good time. And 5th and 6th grade was okay. We had a great time.
Can you guys talk in the microphone? It's really hard to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, we got to remember to turn these things on and off. Any other liaison reports? Hearing none, move on to our minutes of October the 16th, our work session, regular board meeting minutes. Everyone has had an opportunity to review those minutes. Are there any changes or questions? If not, make a motion to approve as listed. Do I have a second?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Human resources?
Human resources, we reviewed in back with the exception of the G9 policy first reading, which I will turn it over to Michelle Cunningham, the chair of the policy.
Okay, the policy committee met last week. It was myself, Diane, and Mr. Walton. And the policy sections listed, I'll go through them real quick, and then if you have any questions, the three of us will be happy to answer. The first one, policy 2270, which is religion in schools. It's basically a housekeeping issue. It's the policy that is recommended, which we have in place because we receive Title I funds. It's basically just guidance on prayer and religious expression in schools. Policy 2419 and its regulation. This is brand new. We currently had something similar to this in the district already at the building level. This is school threat assessment team, which was passed into law in 2022. And basically the purpose of this policy is to establish these teams in each district to assess threat in regards to help teachers and administrators and other staff for identifying students that may need some intervention strategies or management of their behaviors. Policy 3161 is revised, which is examination of laws, and 4161. Basically, this is a policy that allows for the process of the Board of Education or superintendent to require a physical or psychiatric examination of a school district employee whenever they show substantial evidence of deviating from their normal behavior. It's also a recommended policy, and it spells out specifically the process that we need to go through in order to have that happen. If we were, or it was to come to the board, it has to come to the board for our approval for it to be to be done. Policy and Reg 3212 and policy and Reg 4212 are basically revised for attendance. And basically, it's just a record keeping so that staff is aware and knowledgeable of their days. It's also a requirement of CUSAC that we have an attendance policy and accurate staff attendance records. Policy 3324 and 4324 is revised as well, right to privacy. This is also a suggested policy. I know basically this policy is prohibiting any audio or video recording of a staff member in school without their knowledge. I know that Mr. Walton's going to reach out to, okay. Just wanted to verify that we were in accordance with the law, with New Jersey's law in terms of video. So this would basically stipulate that any recording is prohibited without the approval of the teaching staff member or principal or supervisor within that school or district. Policy and Regulation 5116, education of the homeless. This is also a recommended policy, but it requires enrollment for up to 2 years of students who remain homeless and forced to move out of the district as a result of a natural disaster or, God forbid, terrorist attack. Basically, there's language in there that provides it from a homeless child to a homeless child and youth. The last one is the policy 8500, which is our food services policy, which was revised, and I believe Trish went through this. And, we have done a lot of this already. A lot of this is also some language which is changing, or I shouldn't say language. The policy is addressing the working class families, anti-hunger and eligibility and act, and the eligibility of manual for school meals, determining and verifying eligibility. So it's really the process of how we determine and secure food service, and that we're following that process as mandated. Within this policy, we were able to choose whether or not we would allow a student to be served lunch if they had an outstanding bill, and we chose in the policy to allow that to occur. So those are the ones that are on the agenda. The sick leave that we talked about, that we're asking for input from the board in regards to those specific sections, E and F. If you could, as Mr. Walton said, get in touch with myself or email myself or Mr. Walton as to your feelings on those things that are in that policy, and then we'll probably have that policy up for December 20th.
I have two things or something. Once the deadline was December 1st, so we have to get back to Michelle by December 1st, that would be great. And then next meeting, we'll see a couple of policies that need to be abolished because of the improvement buildings. So at the next meeting, like the food service, they really combine that into one. So we'll be abolishing two policies, but it's incorporated into it. So you'll see that in December. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Michelle, can you recap this privacy policy and just explain it one more time?
Sure.
I'm reading it, but I just want to make sure.
The right of privacy.
Yeah, comprehensive.
Okay, so basically it's prohibiting any audio or video recording of a school staff member by students, other staff members visiting, basically anyone without their, when they're performing duties assigned by the board. So if they're teaching, if they're doing something that is under contract by the board, they are exempt from being video or recorded by anyone without their approval and/or approval of their supervisor. So for instance.
Okay, so that only applies to outside parties.
No, students.
No, students, staff, no one.
Unless it's like a winter concert or like.
Well, there has to be consent, is basically what this is saying.
Yeah, well, we have cameras throughout the entire school, so we're constantly.
No,
recording.
not in classrooms though.
It's really a safeguard, it's a safeguard for the staff.
Right, yes, okay.
And a comment that it really does not apply to like the public functions like football game or a concert. So this does not apply to that. Anything where the parents would be there, it doesn't go there.
That's gotcha. Thank you. So that was the policy review, something else in the resource center. Are there any questions or comments? If not, I'll make a motion to approve human resource items T1 through T11 as recommended by the superintendent.
Second.
Treasurer call roll, please.
Bellis? Caselli?
Yes.
Kowalski?
Yes.
Cunningham?
Yes.
Doyle?
Yes.
Fregoso?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Brady?
Yeah.
Motion carries.
Okay, education items.
Education, H1 and 2 are none. 3, we do have a couple of district workshops there to approve. H4, there are no in-district workshops to approve, so it's none. H5, we do have 2 graduate group students working with staff members here in the district. 6, we do have staff members who did a research study in conjunction with picking up our masters. Then H7 is the DPR for QSAC. We will review the email that I sent and everything Michelle social email this morning for QSAC. So we have to have this approved this month. Trish needs to upload this onto the home site. And we will wait until after the new year, crossing our fingers, like I said, for our site review. I am anticipating a delay in that, so I will keep the board present on that site review. So that's education.
Any questions?
Can you talk to me?
Yeah, sorry, Trish.
So one of the professional development, what is that? INSE comprehensive employee plus? What's that?
Actually, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Golden. She can explain it a lot better than I can.
Yeah, it's we're in Gillingham training, so it's what we've trained our interventionists and our special ed teachers and some of our classroom teachers in for phonics instruction and the acquisition of reading.
Any other questions? Not make a motion to approve education items H1 for H7 as recommended. Do I have a second?
Second.
No further comments? Treasurer call roll, please.
Fregoso?
Yes.
Michael? Bellis?
Yes.
Castelli?
Yes.
Orlowski?
Yes.
Cunningham?
Yes.
Doyle?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, general administration items.
Yeah, all our normal stuff, enrollment, attendance, discipline, our drills. You'll notice that we did have one drills this month, they are all listed there by route. The route is attached to. Happy to report we did not have any investigations, so that's great. Number 6 is just affirming the investigations from the previous month of October. And then number 7 is just approving self-assessment that Mr. Petrie presented earlier this evening.
Any questions? Hearing none, I take a motion to approve general administration items I-1 through I-7 recommended by the superintendent. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other comments? Trish, call roll.
Cunningham?
Yes.
Doyle?
Yes.
Regosa?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Bellis?
Yes.
Castelli?
Yes.
Orlowski?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Operations, Trish.
J1 are the claims and payroll for the month of October 2023. No added bill list for added services as well as budget transfers. Item number 2 are for the month of September 2023. Item number 3 is the board secretary report and treasurer report for the month of September 2023. And item number 4 is the board certification for the month of September 2023. Item number 5, actually, we did not receive that just due to software updates. So that will probably be coming in a month. Item 6, we have 2 students listed. Item 7 is none. Item 8 is none. Item 9, we have one revision that's replacing previously approved routes. That's listed. Cost is about $11 cheaper per day. Item 10 is none. Item 11 is none. 12 is none. Item 13 is the yearly comprehensive maintenance plan, M1 form, and the approved resolution for the 23-24 school year. Item 14 is an affiliate program with Elizabethtown College for occupational therapy internships. Keeping with that theme, item 15 is an affiliate program with Calvin University to provide speech language internships. And then item 16, which you may have to refresh your browsers, to see is the resolution 2-2024 to approve the sale of Lake Road School. Questions on any of those items?
Questions? All right, well, I'm going to make a motion to approve operations items J1 through J15 listed. I'm going to hold 16, do a separate bit on that. Just so I know that's discussion. So therefore, my motion is to approve operations items J1 through J15 as recommended. Do I have a second?
16 is the immigration vote.
You have to refresh.
Yeah, the refresh, yeah.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I got it.
So that's the motion. Do I have a second? Seconded by Katie. Any other questions? So this does not include the vote for the labor. Trish, call roll.
Castelli?
This is
Right. Yeah.
Orlowski?
Yes.
Cunningham?
Yes.
Doyle?
Yes.
Regosa?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Bellis? Brett?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Separately, I make a motion to approve resolution 2-2024, which is the approval of the sale of Lake Road School. Do I have a second?
Read the resolution. so they can vote on that resolution.
Prepare the board.
Nice and loud.
2 minutes.
Your microphone.
Okay.
You can just read whatever's, at the top. Should have to do the whole thing, right?
Are we on?
Yeah. All right, so I make a motion to approve the resolution as listed, whereas pursuant to NJSA 18A:20-6, sale of public property, advertisement acceptance. After obtaining the necessary approvals from the Gloucester County interim executive county superintendent.
I didn't know if you read the whole thing. I think this was just recommended action. Sorry.
I was on a roll, I was going to go.
I'm sorry.
I don't know how that, I'm sorry, let me start over again. I make a motion to approve the resolution, resolve to approve the terms of the agreement of sale proposed by the potential buyer, Newfield Truck Center, to be accepted by the board, and accept the purchase price offered by the potential buyer, Newfield Truck Center, $225,000 by recorded roll call majority vote for the full membership of the board, consistent with NJSA 18A:20-7. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, second. Are there any other comments or questions regarding this resolution? We've got it all squared away. If not, if you would call the roll, please, Director.
Kowalski?
No.
Cunningham?
Yes.
Doyle?
Yes.
Regosa?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Bellis?
Yes, but I wish the dog would. You already voted, that's where my heart was.
Noted. Caselli?
Abstain.
Brand?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Moving on to our old business section. We have our standing items, board goals, yearly planning calendar. Any update on the feasibility or reorganization?
Well, the feasibility committee, steering committee is meeting on Thursday this week. We're at the middle school, Dudley Middle School. And
I can't go because I'm competent, so if someone else wants to attend,
I think Diane, you will be.
Thursday.
And actually, I did email the guy today, and he said there'll be no little earth shattering.
Yeah, one, I mean, I'm glad it's not numbers, but
Right.
I just totally forgot I have parents. I think you did email here.
Barb, okay, Barb will be back from her vacation. So
Yeah.
she'll be able to attend, which that's good. The regionalization study, so we have Barb and Michelle on that committee, so Trish.
How do you know is that?
I don't think it's necessary, to be honest with you. After getting the email from someone today, I don't think it's going to be, no decision or anything.
Yeah.
It's just going to be.
So if there's nothing else there, I'll move on to new business. We discussed the policy committee meeting on December the 5th.
Does that work? That's, I have a question.
I'm fine with it.
Make sure it works.
Just a reminder for anyone to get comments to Michelle, as the committee chair, regarding that the one sick leave policy that we're working on.
4 o'clock is still set.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any business prior to the public? With that, I make a motion. We open to the public for comment. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? We're open to the public. If anyone would like to make a comment this time.
Hello, everybody.
Good evening. Sorry.
Barbara Dougherty, Clearfield Avenue. Some familiar faces here, some new faces. For your general information, we took a poll, and everybody is having difficulty hearing anything that is being said. I have a question that I asked a long time ago when I was on this board, why we are meeting in such a huge room. The acoustics do not work with such tiny microphones. Are you expecting at any time to have more than 20 people here? I don't know.
Well, we always hope that a lot of people are going to show up. But
Well, we hope, and it's great to have the public involved. I'm all for it.
Teachers only come
But-
during negotiations. And I was hoping
Okay, no. But we want the public to be involved. We want the public to be here. But if they're here and they can't hear anything, it's very discouraging and frustrating to the public. Okay, enough of that lecture. Number 2 on my list. Favorite topic, I'm bringing it up again. Social emotional learning. Do I understand we hired a new person as a coordinator, supervisor, or whatever for social emotional learning?
Not on the list.
Okay, that's good. When did we start having it? In this district, how many years have we had it?
SEL, well, we've been incorporating SEL, and
I mean, we started before COVID, but
Okay, so say 5 or 6 years?
sure.
Okay, and
Generally, longer.
I'm just talking about not nationwide or anywhere else, just here. Was it a federal or state grant that brought this about?
Social emotional is always taught forever. I mean, it's embedded in every...
Before we had it as a I'm not talking about before we had it as a program. I'm talking about how many years have we had it as a topic with printed material and discussion that is an assigned amount of time that we're dedicating to it.
well, the dedicated time right now, yeah.
What was
Dedicated
that?
time is actually morning meeting, that's our only dedicated time. The teachers embed that in everything that they do. So I'm not sure what you're getting at from. So
I'm not sure where the disconnect is, but from talking to other parents, this goes on sometimes for more than 20 minutes a day, where instructional time might be compromised a little bit. And I know that scores are still going down. I'm just curious, was it ever a grant?
I don't have that knowledge.
Nobody knows. Okay? All
I'm
right.
not sure if I completely understand the question, Barb.
Okay, I'll try to make it clearer.
Yeah, I mean, this is just my understanding of what's labeled as SEL, social emotional learning. It's not like necessarily a definitive program.
It's not?
So to speak. I mean, that's, again, this is my interpretation of the way that it's more so a labeling of a multitude of different things that are
Okay.
incorporated into different areas. And if I understand that incorrectly, then, let's get.
Are there printed materials that are used for social emotional learning? No. When I came to a meeting with Jamie and yourself and whoever the principal at Main Road was at the time, materials were passed down the table for me to examine.
But they're simply supplemental to the materials that we allow the teachers flexibility to.
Okay, yeah, there's flexibility with every teacher's guide. I get that. But to Jason's point, there is a program.
Well,
There is a program, if you look at it that way. There are materials that are printed to help with discussions, questions to be answered, and so forth. Yes?
Well, that I don't know. That I can't answer.
I'm asking, is that correct?
To drive conversations.
Okay.
So back to your other question about grant funding, like I assume that probably at some point we got a grant in order to administer some
Correct,
aspect
okay.
of a program that may have involved SEL.
Well, to clarify, the COVID funds, part portion of that had to be spent on SEL.
But we started SEL before that, didn't we?
Did.
Yeah. So it was actually started before COVID, maybe 5 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I'm not belaboring the point, but I'm just trying to find out if it was ever started because of a state or federal grant. And my suspicion is that, like most grants, it's either matching funds or they do it for the first year for free, and then if you choose to continue it, then you pick up the tab as a school district. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
This is out of all respect, Barb. A student cannot learn, our scores cannot go up, our students cannot excel academically unless they are met as a whole child, which includes social, emotional learning.
Alicia,
I'll leave it at that. That's my...
I understand your point. Having been in the classroom for a long, long time, I understand what the whole child is and that they can't learn long division if they're worried about something that happened at home.
Right.
I get it.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mark.
I have a question too. Don't we have an SEL coordinator though? Wasn't that like a
We just have one person dedicated to an SEL.
Can we hear the question again?
I asked if we did have an SEL coordinator that would lead to a program.
Did you hear? Yeah, the question was, is there a specific person dedicated as coordinator for SEL? And the answer was that, correct?
Thank you.
Mr. Morris.
Bill Morris, Oak Avenue. A suggestion that we have 3 PTA associations, if I'm correctly understanding, that for next year, the PTA should get together and have a candidates night so the public can hear where the candidates stand for school board. Because this year, there were so many open seats and nobody knew where anybody stood. It might not be doable with 3 PTAs, but it's something to look at. Okay, thank you.
Anyone?
I like that point as a resident. I agree. I felt like I didn't know who I was voting for when I went into the booth. I knew the members of the board that were current, but some of the previous ones that were write-ins, I had no idea who they were.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, we're not the PTA, so
Right.
we're the school board, but, yeah. Something to do. Yeah, to that end, we have 2 write-in positions that we don't
In our best
have.
interest to just advocate the fact that the deadline is the end of July. Like, we need to start speaking about that in our board meetings, like April, May, those types of things that might help to generate people to put their name on the ballot.
I thought about the petition.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
If there's no other comments, I make a motion we close the public comment section. Second. All in favor? Our next regular meeting is going to be held on December the 11th. I would like to take a quick moment to thank Mrs. Barwan for her time with us here on the board. Yeah, absolutely. I guess you won't be with us in December.
Yes, this will be my last meeting as my term on the year. So I would like to thank the board and the community for welcoming me. And I feel that Newfield students are blessed to be in this district. Such a fantastic board, fantastic administration, fantastic teachers. And I really have appreciated your professionalism and your dedication to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure serving you. Again, like I said, our next meeting is December the 11th, 6 p.m. With that, if nothing else, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor?
Aye.